Watch the horse in the blue colours getting into about 5th and 6th spot at the moment. This is the horse that Tim Gossage has been telling us that there is a very good tip for, and that is Tully Thunder.
Yes, that was an interesting run, Peter, because Tully Thunder had had that little break about a month off, and so went into this race probably fresh, and stepping up to this distance does appear like she will get that distance. What
about some of the other chances in the race? We often speak about the Oaks too, and we say it's quite often it's not won by the best stayer, but the classiest filly in the race, and sometimes class gets her over the line.
True. Well, I thought Menang had a good chance.
Yeah. What did you make of her run on Saturday, though,
I was
Jen?
a little concerned about her run on Saturday because it was a rock-hard track here. Now, she's obviously got to have pulled up very well out of that. And if she has, and it hasn't taken any harm, I think just the way she's been going, she looks like she'll stay. She's bred to stay, and I think she's there with a great chance.
Warm Spicer got a little bit of a fluke as hope?
Yes, I wouldn't write her off at all. I think her win in the Geelong Oaks Trail was pretty good.
Can you find any sort of at odds that people might like to throw in their trifectas, John?
Pete, number 12 in this, Carla Keys, she was in Adelaide. She had a couple of runs over there, and they were very, very good runs, and I feel that the distance a little bit more in Adelaide, she'd have won. And she's not far away in the Geelong Oaks, and I do give her a chance. Barrier 2, she's going to have the run of the race.
What about Uga Chaka? We've basically forgotten about her, and she won the Edward Manifold Stakes here over 1,600 metres and looked good and was probably going to be one of the Oaks favourites there, but she gone off the boil a bit?
Possibly, Pete. You could put her in. I'd say she's a trifecta chance more than a winning chance.
You agree with that, John?
I do, Pete, and I find that horses that are drawn out at this gate, and I think Gary might give his comment on it later, Gary Willis, but Tully Thunder and Uga Chaka are going to have a lot of luck from 16 and 17 gate.
Yeah.
You know, the 2,500 metre here is a hot barrier, and Gary will tell you have to be in a good position, because you get caught on that first corner, you don't get in. You just do not get in, and you can't afford to give that advantage away.
Certainly going to be a mad scamper down to the first turn. Let's get the selections. Jennifer, ladies first.
I'll stick with Menang. Number 10 to win from number 2, Magical Miss. 3 Keys to run third, and my best outsider is number 13, Warm Smartser.
Jonathan.
Yes, Pete, I went for Magical Miss, I thought, but I think Bart can make it 8 cups. Oaks, I think he'll win his 8th. I think Keys, number 3 to run second. Lilo Lil for third, and the best outsider, well, it's not going to be an outsider now, Tully Thunder, because there's been a lot of money for it. But
probably at good each way odds.
Good each way odds.
Gary Willits has gone for the Wakeful winner Keys to beat Bart's runner Magical Miss and Lilo Lil, and he's found another one. Just a Believer is one at odds. And John Letts, yes, just repeating your selections there, Lettsy. Magical Miss, Keys, Lilo Lil, is that yours?
Yes, that's mine.
Yes, well, we just thought we'd see them again. They were that good. They were that good, your selections.
Thanks, Pete.
They're worth another look.
Everyone wants to box up the 4 of them, do they, for the trifecta?
That's enough. Tully Thunder, number 11 from Dan Maliki. Dan was very impressed with her run in the Wakeful to beat Magical Miss and Lilo Lil. And Precious Lass, another one at big odds for the best outsider. And for my selections, I thought Magical Miss could win. Gold Lottie hasn't had a mention in dispatches so far, and she's done nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's a bit unfair, isn't it, really? She's been racing so well.
And Keys, because of the Wakeful performance, I think, and Menang's going to be round about the $8 or $9 mark, and I think she represents some pretty good value. There are the totes for the Oaks, and you can see that on the right-hand side, we've got the plus and minus. The ones in the white figures are the ones that have drifted out a little bit, so one mo has actually been easy in the betting, and the ones in the red figures, you can see Magical Miss has trimmed up $1.10 into $4.70 and is now the favourite. And you saw the other ones on the first page that were in contention. Tully Thunder at $10.80 is the best of those on the second page for the Crown Oaks later on this afternoon, and that is due to commence at 3 o'clock. Next race here at Flemington, race 2 on the card, not that far away. It is the Chadstone Fashion Plate at 12:05. And here's the little girl we were talking about, Uga Chaka.
Deep inside of me, girl, you just don't realize what you do to me.
Well, they will use any means of transportation to get to Flemington along the Maribyrnong River. That is a very pleasant way to get to the races. That's probably a little bit more strenuous, but still, if you can get there, who cares? And a lot of people are going to be here for Oaks Day 2001. The ladies are looking absolutely spectacular. And we're about to join one lady who does look very spectacular, and she always performs brilliantly in her chosen profession, track and field. And she is with Tim Webster. Mr. Webster, good morning to you.
Hello, PD. Yes, she does perform brilliantly. You know, you wouldn't believe this, Peter. 100,000 people probably here later today. Tamsin's mum's just walked past. So they're waving at each other and saying, hello, Tamsin Lewis, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Lovely to see you at the races on Oaks Day.
I'm always at the races.
Yeah, I know you are.
I love coming to the races. I've been to a few this spring carnival and I'm going to enjoy today.
A little bit about you. You won the 800 again at the Nationals back in March, but then you got a bit unhappy with things. What was wrong?
I had a pretty tough season. I guess a lot of athletes did, coming off a huge year last year.
Yeah.
But I still did okay. I made the semi-finals at the World Champs, and top 16 in the world is still pretty good, but my ultimate goal is definitely to get medals, so hopefully a few changes have been made and next year I'll improve.
Did you ever at any stage think, oh, I've had enough of this?
No, never. I love the sport too much,
yeah.
So I'd never quit, not until I achieve what I want to achieve.
You mentioned Sydney, and I remember seeing you on the track. You looked disappointed, were you?
I was devastated. When you miss a final by this much in front of a home crowd, and especially when you know you've done the work and when you see how hard someone does train, especially being an individual sport on your own, it was pretty devastating, and the people close to me know exactly how I felt.
Yeah, well, Mum just walked past and you were saying to us that Daley Thompson wants you to come to England to have a look, but Mum's not sure.
Yeah, you know what mums are like. They're always a bit worried with the state of the world at the moment, but, you know, I think this time I might have to go against Mum and head over. I mean, having somebody like Daley and Sebastian Coe look after you and watch you train is something that you can't just pass that opportunity out.
What do they want to see? What do they want to look at you for?
Basically, I need somebody to look after me because I'm coaching myself here at the moment, and I need somebody just to give me some advice and to check over my technique. And I think there's a few things that I've lacked in, say, turnover of speed at the end of races, and Sebastian's been there and done it before, and Daley Thompson's an awesome athlete as well, and I think that they can give me a few tips that maybe I'm missing at the moment.
Okay. Before you go, we're always after a tip. I think you're a Uga Chaka fan, yeah?
I am. I'm a Lee Friedman and a Damien Oliver fan too, but I'm going to have a trifecta, and I think I'll have to throw in Bart Cummings' Magical Myth in there, and maybe Leon McDonald's horse too.
Great to see you. Have a great day.
Thanks very much.
Tamsin Lewis, Damien Oliver, Lee Friedman fan. Pete, there's plenty of those around.
There certainly are, and for good reason, because they're just about the best combination in the business, Tim. And good luck to Tamsin. She's a lovely young lady.
She looks spectacular too, doesn't she?
And a fine athlete as well. Well, why don't we cast our minds back to about 3:15. There was a bit of a delay in the Tooheys New Melbourne Cup, round about 3:15 on Tuesday afternoon when the nation stood still. And let's relive it.
Freemason from the outside stall jumped away well. So too did Pastor Express there at the inside with Prophet's Kiss, and also Spirit of Westbury, May the Horse Be With You, Celestial Show. They're all handy in the early part of the race, as is Give the Slip. He's going up.
So here they are in the early stages, and that's Freemason right out the outside. We just saw a little bit of backwash at the back there, John. It involved Marion Bard, and also Rain Gauge got into a bit of trouble.
Yes, and then Marion Bard came out then, Pete, and set up wide all the way after that, more or less put him out the race, didn't it, that little small incident?
Jen, wasn't it interesting to see this horse Give the Slip in front? We spoke to Richard Quinn, we spoke to Frankie Dettori about the pace of the race and that Europeans normally get back. He had no problems getting up to the front.
No, well, he's used to that, Peter, though, because he has been pacemaker for Fantastic Light overseas, and so he has basically been taught to go out there and go fast. Great effort, though, to finish where he did.
It was, and we'll see that at the end, and we'll see the course that he took rather than coming off the rail. But now they've got 2,200 to go, and there's little Karazi in the red and gold colours in third place, and Scotty Seaman's got Ethereal just smothered back in the field, put her to sleep. Let's see.
Yes, he just went out. I don't think he went out with a plan, Pete, and he just let it happen like Kieran McAvoy did last year, similar, and it just happened for him, and he's had a lovely run here, and he's lucky because he's got a lot of cover, hasn't he? The overseas visitors are out there 3 and 4 wide. Just give him that bit of cover all the way.
Speaking of that, Persian Punch 4 wide. The ride attracted a lot of criticism. He rode to instructions, did he not?
He rode to instructions. The owners, the connections were very, very happy with the ride, and the old horse ran a great race. But that's how he likes to race. That's how the owners and the connection wanted him to ride the horse. Exactly what he did.
At the halfway point, Sky Heights last. Had the job ahead of him there, Jen.
Well, I just think he didn't want to go early, Pete. I think Damien was happy to be last because that's where the horse normally likes to settle anyway, but he just took a bit longer than usual to warm up.
Let's Give the Slip, Freemason, Persian Punch, Celestial Show in the gold, Karazi 5th, Marion Bard out wide, Pastor Express over on the rail, Hill of Grace, watch what befalls her in the next few hundred metres. Look at Ethereal in the blue and white, just travelling beautifully. Rum on the rail, Spirit of Westbury, Shane dives into him already, Curata Storm beginning to drop out, Prophet's Kiss on the rail, May the Horse Be With You in the purple, Caetano getting up through the inside of the field, and also improving her position is In a Flurry at that stage. That's Rain Gauge in the red and white. Big Pat, who went poorly. Yippee-I-O's a long way back too. But we've got to watch for Hill of Grace here. Back in about 8th spot, red and gold colours. What happened?
Well, she just gets a bit of pressure from the outside with May the Horse Be With You in purple colours. And there she goes. And, yeah, very awkward fall. Very awkward fall. And it would have been frightening for Corey because there's plenty of horses behind him.
And I think Curata Storm actually bled in the race and dropped out, didn't it?
Bled both nostrils, Pete, but it was very distressed, as you'll notice. Before this, it was hanging bad, and the jockey was in a lot of trouble, but that was its problem.
So the jockey of Give the Slip elects to stay on the rail. Scott Seamer makes his move. Let's have a listen to Dan Malicki's brilliant call of the last 200 metres.
Further back to May the Horse Be With You. The leader Give the Slip. Ethereal's coming hard on the outside. The New Zealand mare. Ethereal after Give the Slip. Ethereal hit the lead in the cup. Ethereal takes the Caulfield Melbourne Cup double. Ethereal and Scott Seamer have beaten Give the Slip. 6 lengths away. Persian Punch, an almighty run. Then came
Look at him. He has given his all. She had given her all. And
Yes,
as we said to John Letts
certainly
before,
had.
they were both exhausted, Lettsy.
They were. Both the horse and rider were just. They had to just take a minute or so, Pete. You know, which is a long time after a Melbourne Cup to walk back and just get their breath. And Scotty Seamer, the happiest guy in the world, but the tiredest guy at the time.
John, you've won a couple of Melbourne Cups. Were you able to talk after the Melbourne Cup? Because
I spoke all the way through. Jen, actually, I was talking all the way.
Yeah.
I would have thought so.
That is the first time in recorded history that anyone has ever asked John Letts, were you able to talk? What about the lucky number 13? It was incredible, the amount of coincidences that she wore 13, she had barrier 13, she drew 13 in the Caulfield Cup. It was 13 years since Empire Rose won, trained by Sheila's husband Laurie. Sheila rode 13 winners as a jockey, and it was my 13th Melbourne Cup with Network 10. Dan called his 13th Melbourne Cup, and our executive producer Murray Lomax, well, his son wore number 13 in his kindergarten Melbourne Cup race.
Well, why didn't you tell us before the race?
Because we didn't think of it.
Didn't know she was going to win.
Simple as that. And there's the man himself. No bruised foot today, no problems today for Scotty Seamer, and they'll be talking about him for the rest of his life because he is now a Melbourne Cup winning jockey. As you can see, the second is drawing closer. We'll take a break and come back to Flemington on the third day of the Melbourne Cup Carnival for 2001. It's Ladies' Day. Second race is the Chadstone Fashion Plate, and the biggest shopping centre in Melbourne would have been doing a roaring trade with the ladies and the gentlemen for that matter, getting their outfits ready for this wonderful day. Oaks Day, Crown Oaks Day for 2001, and you're watching it live around Australia on Network 10. Candidates are about to go out for the second, the Chadstone Fashion Plate. Let's have a look at some of these horses. Now, this horse, Saboteur, Jen, I've got a bit of time for him. He's huge odds in the race. He went poorly at his last start at Moonee Valley, but gee, he's got some ability.
He has, and I think he is capable of much better here, Pete. He hasn't had the best of luck in a couple of his races with big weights. Gets him with 56.5 here. A little awkwardly drawn there in barrier 18, but I do think a chance.
Number 2 is He Guy. Danny Nikolic is the rider for Miles Plum. This horse looks well, has drawn the one alley, and that's, as Roy Higgins keeps on telling us, an advantage in the Melbourne to Warrnambool bike race.
Yes, he's been freshened up, Pete. He has absolutely done nothing wrong so far, and he's likely to get back in this race, and I think he should be charging home at the end, and here's a chance.
I've never seen one of John Hawkes' horses look poor. He produces them to look absolutely magnificent in the mounting yard. Sporting Scribe's no exception.
Yes, I thought it was a good run at Caulfield too when he ran second. He comes into this race quite nicely. He ran second in the Carbine Club on Derby Day last year. No reason why he can't fight.
What about number 4, Jen, and that is Even Psalm, to be ridden by Damien Oliver for John Collins at Cranbourne.
He's been in terrific form as well. He's a super honest type of horse. Damien will help him, and he's some chance.
Michael Moroney, the Melbourne Cup winning trainer of 2000, prepares number 6, Lord Mick, and Greg Childs takes the sit.
Yes, I thought he probably found the 1200 metres too sharp for him first up, but he's had another run since then, and he won at Geelong. A nice effort, he hit the line well there, and he's a good chance.
Number 10, Fra's Turn, comes out of Lindsay Park. Tony McAvoy, the trainer. Karen McAvoy, his nephew, is the jockey.
Promising type of horse, this one, Pete. He normally likes to settle around about midfield. Looks terrific on the screen as well. He likes to get home hard as well. I think he's there with the chance as well. So a tough race.
And we've had to wait to see yours, Jen. Number 15, Verbal, Craig Williams, the rider, and George Hanlon, who of course had a disappointment with Rain Gauge in the Melbourne Cup on Tuesday, but he might get some consolation here.
Disappointment, but he did still go quite nicely. This horse was blocked for a run at a very vital stage at Geelong last start. And he's been improving. He's nicely weighted with 53.5. He did have 58 last start. So I think he gets in well here, and he's my pick.
What's your trifecta then, Jen?
Okay, I'm going 15 Verbal from number 6 Lord Mick and number 10 Phra's Turn.
There are the tote figures as they head to the stalls for race 2. Dan Malicki, take us through.
Big odds for Saboteur at the moment. 7.30 He Guy, 9.20 for Sporting Scribe. Even some run in commission. So is Lord Mick at 8.70. Big odds for Tiffany's Best. Number 9 Bold Bard at huge odds. It's around the $80 mark. But a bit less interstate. 4.40 Phra's Turn. 14 for Kamishima. 23 Kurtray. 35 Naz Princess. 25 Tristate. $10 for Verbal. And 58 for Will Win Flyer. Number 17, 18 and 19 are the scratching. So a pretty open race on the tote. Any different to that in the ring, Tim?
Dan, they've come for a Phra's Turn. A little jump the favourite. It certainly drifted early, but it has tightened up considerably in the last 10 minutes. But the best backed at longer prices, Peter, the horse you like, number 1 Saboteur, it has tumbled in 10 points in the bookmaker's ring, and there's now money for number 14 Tristate. But Phra's Turn will jump favourite. Good money, good odds, Saboteur and Tristate.
Yeah, it's just a silly little chance, I think, Tim, because you often see these horses with ability that when they're not going well, all of a sudden, John, and you know this as a trainer,
yes,
something will click with them and they'll just come good.
They turn the corner, Pete,
yep,
and it happens with a lot of horses, and you'll find that happens with a lot of young horses at Bart Cummings. Bart Cummings I rode for him for a long time, and Bart would say to me, the horse will tell you. And you can remember Red Hander walked into the stable as a 2-year-old, and everyone looked at him and thought, how could this ever win a race? Bart said, I'll win a Melbourne Cup with this horse in 3 years. He did,
yeah,
and it just turned the corner, he come good.
1967, the Melbourne Cup winner, red-handed. There's the map